The sole purpose of this video is to provide a basic overview and orientation of your new apparatus. This video is not intended to act as or replace individualized driver-operator training. Individual fire departments may base guidelines, policies, and procedures tailored for best practices. Pierce Manufacturing and Hughes Fire Equipment representatives are not liable for injuries caused from acts resulting from actions inconsistent with the information provided within this video and/or accompanying manuals. Refer to the Operation and Maintenance Manual for complete details relating to the components and features of this apparatus. Only trained personnel should operate this vehicle or perform maintenance. You are responsible for learning how to operate this fire apparatus under all conditions without having to refer to the manual while operating at an emergency incident. This video will discuss types of warnings and caution labels. It is your responsibility to locate and identify each of the labels and understand the importance and associated hazards. Warning labels will point out procedure that must be taken or action that must be avoided to guard against the possibility of serious injury or death. Caution labels will advise you that there is a risk of damage to property if certain precautions are not followed. Continuous training, reviewing of operation and service manuals, developing good standardized practices will assist driver operators with a more complete understanding of the components and operation of this fire apparatus. As the driver operator of this vehicle, you are responsible for understanding the function of each component of the apparatus, maintaining control of the fire apparatus at all times while in operation. Make operational and functional changes while operating at an emergency without having to read operator's instructions or safety warning labels. Operate manual override and emergency shutdown procedures immediately if a component fails to operate properly. Components location may vary with each Pierce fire apparatus. Review the exact location of each component prior to operation. Major inconsistencies between your vehicle and the information contained in this video should be directed to your sales representative. Safe operation of any vehicle is the responsibility of the driver operator. You must learn the location and function of all controls, switches, gauges, valves, inlets, and discharges. Due to a higher center of gravity, heavy trucks have a significantly higher rollover tendency than other types of vehicles. To reduce the risk of rollover, avoid making sharp turns, excessive speed, and avoid abrupt maneuvers. In the event of a rollover crash, an unbelted person is significantly more likely to become injured or die than a person wearing a seatbelt. In the event of a crash, unbuckled occupants can also become a hazard to other occupants, as they may be thrown around inside the cab. Seatbelts are required while in operation. Please refer to your warranty certificates for details and information enclosed in your manuals. Customer-installed equipment must be mounted to withstand road travel and comply with NFPA 1901. Modifications such as drilling holes or welding to structural frame components of the chassis are not permitted. Contact Pierce for instruction and review of non-structural sheet metal or other dissimilar metals for modification. Follow the radio installation guide for further assistance on installing or mounting electronics. Before placing your new apparatus into service, perform a primary inspection of key components of the apparatus, including all fluid levels, anti-lock braking systems, electronic stability control, and automatic traction control. Weigh your apparatus to ensure that it conforms to axle and brake ratings. Never exceed the gross axle rating printed on the label inside the cab. Exceeding these ratings could lead to reduced component life, personal injury, or death. Review the use of auxiliary braking systems, compression brake, exhaust brake, electronic retarder, and hydraulic retarder. Before placing the apparatus in service, refer to the operational maintenance manuals. Information on the operation and maintenance functions for the components such as the pump, pressure governor, and foam systems, along with other options, is provided in either the Pierce manuals and/or other manufacturer support information delivered with the apparatus. If you need more information, please contact Hughes Fire Equipment. Congratulations, Olympia, Washington, on your new Pierce fire apparatus, job number 34790. Please utilize this 5-digit job number when referencing your apparatus with Hughes Fire Equipment and Pierce Manufacturing. We'll get started on a brief orientation of your new apparatus. Starting on the face of the front bumper passenger side, your mechanical siren. Moving just inside of that location, you'll find 2 attachment points. They are affixed to the frame rail on the passenger and driver's side. Located directly in the center, you'll find a hitch receiving point. As we move to the driver's side, you'll find dual air horns located in the bumper face. As we move up onto the cab in the lower portion, you'll find 2 emergency warning lights. And then as we move upward from this location, you'll find your turn indicator and marker light in a common bezel with the headlight structure housing a low and high beam headlight. The high beam will be located on the inside. Moving up from that location on the outer edge, you'll find your fire bell and also your unit identifier, the number 1. Moving just inside of that location, 2 forward-facing emergency warning lights. Directly behind the Pierce logo is where you'll find the hood release for gaining access into the hood area. There are 3 windshield wipers across the seamless one-piece windshield. And as we move to the outer edge, you'll find your mirror housing a flat and convex mirror. Moving upward toward the brow, you'll find a convex mirror located for facing downward to the front bumper area. You'll also find on the brow forward-facing LED lights. Moving all the way to the very top of the roof, you'll find your emergency warning light bar. Located inside that light bar, you'll find an opticom in the center. Directly above the opticom and the light bar is where you'll find a controlled spotlight from within inside the cab. Here are some close-ups, fire bell, and then also the location where your hood release is located behind the Pierce logo. Let's take a general view here of the side of the apparatus. We'll focus in now on the cab section. We'll first start down at the lowest portion with the axle. Located in the center, you'll find a sight gauge. Just beneath each door, you'll find a step and also perimeter lighting associated with that step area. Moving toward the A pillar, you'll find at the very bottom section a side-facing emergency warning light. As we move upward from that location, you'll find your auto-eject shoreline inlet plug. Your door handles are easily accessible with a gloved hand. They are also keyed locked. You'll find grab handles at all points of entry for personnel for gaining access in and out of the cab. D handle gains you access to the compartment directly behind the passenger and driver seat. And as we move upward from that location, you'll find a side-facing emergency warning light. Directly over the front axle, you'll also find a side-facing scene light. Let's take a look at some close-ups, the items we just talked about. First, shoreline inlet. This is a 20 amp auto eject plug. Moving now toward the compartment directly behind the driver's seat, adjustable shelving, LED lighting at the very top section, also an outlet. As we move just to the rear section of the cab, you'll find the storage location for your wheel chocks. Also a fill location located on this side, which we'll talk about in a moment. As we move from this location just slightly downward, you'll find a side-facing emergency warning light. D handle will gain you access into the compartment, and above the compartment is where you'll find a side-facing floodlight. Let's take a look at some close-ups. First, inside the compartment, you'll find long-handled tool storage on the front vertical wall. As we move inside that location, I'd like to point out where the arrow is indicating there are also some switching components in the upper portion. We're now featuring the location for your long-handled tools, and as we move upward from this location, front flood, driver's side scene, passenger side scene lights. Let's move downward from this location where you'll find the storage location for your folding wheel chocks. Moving toward the rear, you'll find your ultra low sulfur diesel fill location. It is the silver cap. Just to the rear axle, you'll find your 10-gallon DEF tank. It is the blue cap. As we move to the access letter, you'll find these two warning labels regarding fall hazard. Do not ride on the vehicle while it's in motion. and then also an additional fall injury, always face the vehicle when climbing onto it. Let's move now to the driver's space. We'll first start with the door panel, identifying all of our safety and warning information on the door panel. You'll also find window controls, door latch, and lock. As we move to the step area, you'll find your auto charge status center. When plugged into shore power, this will be active. You'll also find a air tank pressure indicator. As we move upward from this location, you'll find this yellow placard indicating the date of manufacture, 5-digit job number, gross vehicle weight rating, cold tire inflation, VIN number, all of the fluid capacities for each device, fluid capacity, and fluid type. Let's move to the floorboard now of the operator space, starting on the left with your air horn foot pedal. Moving just to the right, you'll find a mechanical siren foot pedal, and then moving to the right, you'll find your brake treadle and accelerator. As we move up to about the left knee of the operator, you'll find diagnostic engine information, and also you'll find the lower switches here are your DPF regen switches. Let's move further up to the dash area. We'll start on the left-hand side of the dash, starting first with a warning buzzer, moving downward for your 4-way emergency hazards, and then also a start and ignition switch. Moving just to the right, you'll find your EM switch, which stands for Emergency Master. It will engage and disengage all of your emergency lights. To the right, headlight switch, and then further to the right, panel switch, allow you to brighten or dim lights within preview of the operator. As we move to the opposite side of the steering column, you'll find your OK to engage your high idle and also an indicator. Moving directly in the center, you'll find a jackknife warning. It is a red indicator light indicating that you're in the potential area of a jackknife position. Moving to the left, transmission, oil, DEF level, and water temp. On the right-hand side, you'll find front and rear air, volts, and fuel. Speedometer and tachometer are located directly in the center. Diagnostic information will display above and below the speedometer. Let's move just to the right of this image, where you'll find your pull to apply your system parking brake. It is not currently displayed in the image. It is the yellow diamond. You'll also find a variety of different things. We'll go over all of those things in the next set of images. On the left, you'll find 12-volt access via USB and also barrel style. This is your Pierce command zone. Tremendous amount of information right at your fingertips. Please see your owner's manual for more information. Let's move just to the right where you'll find your Allison Transmission Pad with a digital indicator. As we move at the very top section, you'll find your generator on and off switch, aerial master, backup alarm override, stabilizer camera, stabilizer scene lights, siren brake, and load manager. At the bottom, you'll find a switch regarding your engine brake. It is an on-off switch, a setting switch for low, medium, and high, differential lock, and mirror heat. Let's move just to the right of this location where you'll find your traffic advisor, and just beneath that you'll find your mirror controls for left and right mirror. You'll also find some warning information regarding disengaging your retarder when on wet or slippery surfaces, also minimum speed for operating your generator, and then always utilize your front parking brake while the engine is operational. Let's move from this location upward and forward where you'll find your generator starting instructions. And then as we move more toward the bottom section, this is just a reference point. This is where your traffic advisor is located. As we move to the very center console, you'll find your climate control, heat and defrost, and also an amp indicator gauge. As we look overhead, just a general view, what I would like to point out as we move to the very left side of the image where you'll find this yellow placard indicating the height 11 feet 1.75 inches, length 61 feet 11 inches, and a gross vehicle weight rating 85,600 pounds. Moving just to the right, you'll find a switch panel housing the emergency master, roof light, front warning, side warning, rear warning, opticom, and air horn. When any of these switches have been activated, the outer edge of the bezel will illuminate. Moving to the next switch panel, you'll find your scene master, front scene, front spot, high brow cut, driver side scene, passenger side scene, rear scene, and your perimeter lights. Moving just to the right, you'll find your Go Light control module, on and off switch, and also a joystick. Further to the right, you'll find your Pierce Seatbelt Information Center, red indicating someone is in the seat and not belted, green indicating they are in the seat and belted. As we move directly under, you'll find this blue light illuminating and flashing, indicating do not move your apparatus. You have a compartment door ajar or open. Let's move behind the rear of the driver's seat where you'll find your air compressor when plugged into shore power. This will become active, maintaining brake pressure. You'll also find your backup speaker. There is a volume control on the face of the speaker. And then just to the right in the image, you'll find your air control module system. Let's go ahead and move to the rear section of the cab. First, we'll start with the door panel. All of our safety and warning information is displayed here, in addition with a grab handle, window controls, door latch, and lock. Let's move overhead in the cab space where you'll find push on or off red lens or white lens lights. You'll also find compartmentation located on both the passenger and driver side, behind the officer seat and driver's seat. As we move inside the compartment, when plugged into shoreline power or generator power, this outlet will be active. As we move down to the very bottom, I would like to point out the lift and turn latch will gain you access for your daily checks for oil and transmission. As we move toward the rear seat bench riser, you'll find 12-volt access via USB and also barrel style. We're now at the tandem axle area to the fifth wheel connection. In the very front section, you'll find a warning labeled at only direct pull on the access. You'll also find a warning labeled that only trained personnel should operate this piece of equipment and only after they've been properly trained. You do find a warning label here regarding your lock or tip over hazard and also the lock release mechanism. Moving further back, you'll find a pressure hazard warning. Caps may be under pressure. Be cautious when opening them. As we move further to the back, you'll find your aerial inlet and also an aerial inlet gauge. As we move downward from this location, you'll find an 1.5-inch ball valve. This is your aerial waterway drain. Moving up to the right again, warning label regarding direct pull on the attachment or tether point. And then we'll move toward the rear of the truck, first starting with the first compartment. Inside at the very top section, you'll find an inclinometer for front to back and then also from side to side. Let's move to the next compartment where you'll find your stabilizer control module. First at the very top, you'll find an emergency stop. It's a simple push button. Just down from that, you'll find the override, which is a protected switch, and then also your emergency hydraulic power. Right next to it, you'll find the level assist. There are also two controls here, passenger side stabilizer and driver side stabilizer, 4 green lights for normal aerial operation. We do also have an aerial stability hazard warning regarding the use of your aerial device if you are not on solid ground. As we move to the rear section, you'll find stabilizer control. You'll find a function switch in here for either aerial or stabilizer control. You'll also find the manual override. They are color-coded and also labeled. We do have some danger and also some warning placards here. Because of those aerial devices and movement, there is the possibility of pressure hazard and then also the possibility of crush and also tip over hazard. As we move inside that compartment in the upper right-hand corner, this is the location of the function switch, either aerial or stabilizer position. You'll also find just to the right of that location a push button for the rewind for your electrical cord. Just to the right, you'll find a cover for your stabilizer camera. And then as we move to the stabilizer itself, we do have a few warning information here regarding crush hazard. You'll also find down at the very bottom a danger regarding electrocution hazard because your aerial device is not insulated. There are 2 lights located on this side also, a sight visibility light to identify where your stabilizer will locate, and then also an emergency warning light. Let's go ahead and move now and identify some of the items within the compartmentation. First, we'll start at the very top section. These are 2 trays that pull out and tilt downward. You also have a pull-out tray on the very bottom. And then moving to the vertical wall, you'll find a plug. This is accessible when plugged into shore power. At the very bottom, you'll find your aerial stabilizer pad. Let's take a look with those shelves in the deployed position. And now let's move into the plug. This is on the vertical wall front. We'll move to the next compartment back. We do have in the upper left-hand corner of the vertical wall, this is where your generator and breaker box are located. You'll also find a through compartment in this section where you'll find a pull-out tool board. This is the G1 breaker panel, which stands for generator. As you move downward from this location, you'll find the module for your generator control. As we move from this location, you'll find a tool board. D handle will gain you access to the back side of that tool board. There is also in the very bottom section a pull-out tray, release mechanism on the lower right, and then also SCBA bottle storage location in the lower portion of the compartment. Let's take a look now at the compartment in the open position. You can see it reveals when the tool board is open, there is a long tool-handled storage location. As we move to the next compartment, you'll find a pull-out tray. We'll move to the step area next for gaining access to the tiller person's position. But first, let's identify the lower compartment. This is also going to be your ABS diagnostic port location for your maintenance team. I would like to point out a fall injury. Always face the vehicle when climbing and do not ride on the vehicle while it's in motion. There are two lights located for cornering on the front and rear section of the axle. You'll also find a convex mirror in the upper portion. Let's go ahead and move to the rear of the apparatus. We'll start at the very top section with the rear-facing scene light. As we move downward from that, you'll find additional emergency warning lights. Located directly in the center, you'll find your backup camera just below the Pierce logo or the Truck One insignia. Moving further down, you'll find a 360-degree emergency warning light in combination with a rear-facing emergency warning light. Let's go ahead and take a look with the compartment doors in the open position. First, starting on the left and right at the bottom section, you'll find these lights indicating your marker lights. Also, as we move inside of that location, you'll find a turn light, brake light just above that location. As we move further to the right or inside location toward the frame rail, you'll find an emergency warning light and then also a reverse light. I would like to point also there are attachment points located here, and also the same applies for that direct pull warning information on those attachment points. Let's go ahead and take a quick look at the full section of your ladder complement, and then also you can see there are hand tools located in the very center. Just beneath those ladders, you'll find an additional storage compartment with LED lighting inside. I would like to point out once again, electrocution hazard. Your equipment is not insulated. As we move now to the passenger side of the vehicle, we'll start at the very rear section with these cupped switches. First, starting with the driver's side scene light, passenger side scene light, and rear scene lights. Let's go ahead and move just in front of your rear axle where you'll find your storage location for your toolbox, dry deck material, and LED lighting. To access this, the upper portion of the grab handle is the lock and release. As we move forward to this location, you'll find the upper corner houses your long-handled tool. At the very bottom section, you'll find SCBA bottle storage location. Let's move now forward to this location to the through compartment. This is where you'll find your tool boards on the top section and also storage on the lower compartment. Moving forward to this location, we'll find additional tool board storage and also a pull-out tray in the lower section. And at the very bottom, you'll find your storage location for your stabilizer pad. Moving inside the compartment, you'll find your ventilation system. When plugged into shore power, this will become active, ventilating your compartments. Moving to the forward, once again, pull-out tray, tool board style. Bottom section houses a pull-out tray also. Let's move from this location now to the fifth wheel area. Same configuration as you have on the driver's side. This is your electrical cord reel in the uppermost left corner of the compartment. It also has an attached junction box. As we move downward from this location, you'll find the push button for the cord reel rewind. And then just next to it, behind the shield, is your camera for your stabilizer. Moving downward from this location is your stabilizer control area and also stabilizer. On the stabilizer itself, we have a warning regarding crush injury. There are two lights previously I mentioned on the opposite side of the vehicle. one aerial stabilizer location light, and also an emergency warning light. Down at the lower section, we do have a danger placard here regarding electrocution, hazard, and danger because your vehicle ladder is not insulated. Let's move from this location to the two pan doors that drop down. First one is going to be all of our control modules for your device. Moving forward to this location, we do have an aerial stabilizer hazard regarding the utilizing of your jacks fully extended. In the upper portion of this compartment, you'll find the same configuration, emergency stop, override, once again, protected switch that you have to lift that latch to activate. Moving to the right, emergency hydraulic power, level assist, and then your controls for your passenger side stabilizer, and then also driver's side stabilizer. As we move inside to the next compartment, in the uppermost corner, you're going to find the stabilizer inclinometer front to back and also side to side. As we move to the fifth wheel area, you'll find this warning label regarding direct pull on the attachment point. You'll also find a gauge. This is your aerial inlet pressure. And you'll also find the black cap. This is the waterway for your aerial device. At the very top, you'll find a warning regarding pressure hazard. Caps may be under pressure. Be cautious when opening them. And as we move down, you'll find your tip over hazard information. This is for locking your stabilizer to your tractor. You can see there is a depiction of the vehicle. Please pay attention to this and see your owner's manual for more information of its operation. You'll also find at the lower section the drain 1.5-inch ball valve for draining the waterway. We do have two warning here, same as the opposite side. Never ride on the vehicle while it's in motion, and always face the vehicle when climbing onto it. Let's move downward from this location to your exhaust. Extremely hot diesel exhaust temperatures do occur. Be cautious where you park your vehicle, especially during regen operations. As we move to the forward section, you'll find same configuration and layout as you do on the passenger side. First, 3 switches, front flood, passenger and driver side scene lights, long tool handled storage, and SCBA storage. As we move inside the cab in the rear, you'll find affixed to the door panel all of our safety and warning information, electric windows, door lock, and latch. As we move inside the cab, same visual configuration as we saw from the driver's side. We'd like to point out 12 volt at the lower section of the seat riser. As we move forward, you'll find this is the rear section of the officer seat, compartment station and storage above and below. You'll also find your SETCOM headset system for your intercom. We're now exterior, looking into the space directly behind the officer seat, where you'll find shoreline and generator outlet within this area. As we move to the front area of the cab, this is where the officer position is. You'll find affixed to the door panel all of our safety and warning information again, electric window control, door lock, and latch. As we move inside the cab, we'll first start with your vehicle does have a supplemental restraint system, an airbag. Be cautious when mounting any equipment within this area. Also to the right, you'll find the bell rope for activating the fire bell on the front, and then also 12 volt access via USB and also barrel style. As we move more toward the center of the cab, you'll find a siren brake for your mechanical siren. You also have an additional command zone access point here. Once again, a tremendous amount of information at your fingertips. See the owner's manual for full access. Overhead of the officer position, you have push on and off white or red lenses. In the upper portion, you'll find your radio housing a AM/FM weather band CD radio. As we move to the right, you'll find your unit radio. And then moving further to the right from that location, you'll find your go light, on-off switch, and control module. Let's go ahead and move to the rear section of the operator seat, where you'll find this storage compartment for your unit radio. As we move up onto the roof of the cab, you'll find these warning placards. This is a non-walking surface. You'll also find your 2 forward-facing to align your tiller person position with the vehicle indicators. As we move forward to this location, just a general view here, LED emergency warning lights and also go lights and air conditioning unit. This is the top section of the cab area. Once again, non-walking surface, and that's why we have those warning labels. Just to the rear of the cab, you'll find an additional top storage location area. As we move just down from that location, you'll find this is the pressure gauge for your hydraulic system. And then also just to the right of that location, you'll find your aerial hydraulic fill location. Let's go ahead and move from this location downward.
where you'll find a pan door will gain you access into the fill location and daily checks for your power steering fluid. Let's go from here now up onto the pedestal area. We do have some warning information. I would like to point out on the right, there is an audible alarm. The outer edge of that bezel does allow you to dampen the sound. We also have some warning here regarding fall restraint required and also pinch and cross hazard because of the rotation of the aerial device. General view here of the pedestal with the lid in the open position. As we move inside the cover area, you'll find your ascendant waterway dry, 50-mile-an-hour wind condition, and a chart just below that. You'll also find waterway charged with a 50-mile-an-hour wind condition in the chart just below that area. In addition, you'll find nozzle monitor positions, and I would like to point out at the very bottom section, the asterisk section regarding special conditions, specifically regarding to icing of the aerial device and its load capacity. And then moving just to the right, you'll find your specifications per NFPA 1911 aerial setup. Let's take a look at some safety and warning information. Also, trained personnel are the only ones that operate this piece of equipment after they've received proper training. As we move to the pedestal, you'll find your intercom system, volume control, and also a push-to-talk. Just to the right, you'll find an electric switch for your aerial inlet for that valve, and then also you'll find inclinometer front to back and side to side. Let's go ahead and take a look at the actual location here for the control module. This is going to be your emergency stop button. Just downward from that, you'll find all of our lighting accessories. Those are all switched. And then also you'll find an aerial speed for normal or fast. Let's move back up to the upper right-hand corner where you'll find the remote aerial control activation. This is for gaining control to the person at the tip of the ladder. As we move downward from this location, you'll find your emergency hydraulic power switch. And then also you'll find your command zone module screen. Moving further down to the left, you'll find nozzle control, including stow or deploy for the nozzle. And then to the right, your ladder control for extend, retract, right, left, and lower and raise. Just as a reminder, you do have to lift upward on the collar to activate the control function. Let's move now to the ladder on the base section. You'll find an inclinometer for the angle of the ladder. We'll also identify a few things within the ladder area. On the base section on the left, you'll find a long tool storage location, and on the right-hand side, you'll find a 12-foot roof ladder. Let's move more toward the tip section, where you'll find additional tools stored in the fly section. As we move to the location at the tip, you'll also find 2 fold-down steps. And if we're at this position and we look directly downward at the end of the aerial ladder, you'll find your ability to reduce the nozzle location for rescue operations by simply removing it from the first position and moving it into the second position via the knob on the right-hand side of the ladder. This should be done when the ladder is stored. You'll also find nozzle control for right and left, raise and lower, and then also fog or straight stream. To the left, you'll find your intercom. It is a passive system, therefore it has volume control only. Moving now to the opposite side, you'll find some danger information regarding electrocution hazard, also information here regarding pinch hazard, control module for the person operating the ladder at the tip. The controls are reduced in speed, and then also at the very bottom section, a tip over or structure failure hazard warning information placard. Let's move from this location on the outer edge, where you'll find 2 forward-facing lights on the passenger side and also on the driver's side, in addition with passenger and driver's side chainsaw scabbards. Let's move now to the base section where you'll find your tracking lights. They're on the passenger and driver's side, also toward the front section of the base ladder. As we move inside the cab area of the tiller position, let's first start with the very center. You have a push on and off white or red lens light. As we move inside the cab forward section, you'll find your front heater and also rear heater. As we move to the switches, you'll find your generator on and off switch, mirror window heat, scene master, rear scene, driver side and passenger side cornering lights, driver and passenger side scene lights, an indicator for your wheel location for left, center, and right. Moving just to the right, the next set of switch panels, you'll find your washer control module and wiper. Moving further to the right, you'll find a door override, also jackknife warning indicator and ABS trailer indicator, and a red air horn. Further to the right, climate control. As we move down and look at the steering wheel, let's look to the left where you'll find fan control for the two fans on the passenger and driver side of the wheel. As we move also to the right in this image, you'll find USB charging location. And then also as we move further to the right, you'll find your two monitors for the side-facing cameras. Also to the rear seat location, you'll find this access port. When plugged into shore power, this will become active. Congratulations, Olympia, Washington, on your new Pierce fire apparatus, job number 34790. If you have any questions regarding your apparatus, please contact your Hughes Fire sales representative. Thank you and congratulations.